Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Pappas, obviously. I hope you are all well, and we're going to go through this lesson on Battle Royal. What we're doing today is connecting Battle Royal to Romanticism and Gothicism, and ultimately, this is going to prepare us for being able to do some writing that Ms. Bishop is going to be walking us through a lesson next class about. So that's where we're headed, and each day will be something new, and we'll just be we'll make the best of this e-learning experience. So before you move on, make sure that you have read Battle Royal, and that's super important, obviously, because you're going to be answering some questions about it, and uh, they're not just questions about the story. They're really more interpretive and analytical questions. So make sure that you do that before you continue with this video. All right, so these are the first few questions that I'd like you to go over, and certainly use your notes. Obviously, I don't expect you to try to remember these on your own, but if you can, do as much as you can from memory. So, what are the 5 I's that are associated with Romanticism? And just try to list what those are. Next, I want you to name the 6 Gothic motifs, but for these, I want you to give me an example. So give me a story or a video game, a novel, a movie, a character that relates to each one of these motifs. And give me more than just a name, give me a brief explanation for each one. Okay, so before we get into the story and the questions related to the story, remember that Romanticism celebrated the individual and everyone having the opportunity to be oneself. However, that was not afforded to all people. Some people in America, especially this was with African Americans, not everybody could celebrate who they were. They were still expected to conform to the wishes and whims of the established majority. And one way that this was evidenced was in a practice called holding a battle royal. But before we get to the battle royal kind of language, I want us just to be kind of open our eyes a little bit and start to think interpretively. All right. So I'm going to give you some pictures, and for each of these pictures, I want you to make some observations. Again, this is kind of like we did with poetry, but I just want you to start thinking analytically and remember that whatever you observe counts. You just have to explain yourself. So for each of the following images, what do you notice about the image? Identify 3 things. What mood does the image set? And specifically, what sets the mood? And then name a theme that the image conveys and write it out as a statement. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first image. So I want you to notice as many things as you can about this. Notice there's the kind of a separation here, so maybe you can describe that. What do you see as far as colors, as far as content, anything at all? Same for this. For this one, notice that there's a change in color right down here. Maybe you can explore a little bit about what that signifies. Okay, this image, I do not want you to write any questions or responses to. However, this is an image of a battle royal, perhaps after one took place or right before, I'm not sure. But you can see that the men in the middle are black, and they are blindfolded, and this was typical of the battle royal. And you can see that the sailors, that's a naval situation, the sailors are all white. And so that is an example of the way that these things were. You can also notice that in the background here there are ropes. This would have been in a like a boxing ring or a wrestling ring. And this whole thing is a postcard. So you can see that this whole idea of black men fighting each other was an a thing that white people of all genders used, and it was a form of entertainment for those white people, but it was also a form of humiliation for the black men. Here's a picture that is obviously a drawing and a caricature of the men who are participating in it, kind of making them look like clowns. And that imagery is consistent and significant in the story. You're going to be asked a question about that later. And here's another postcard, and you can see up here at the top from July 4th, a battle royal in Watauga, Oklahoma. And you can see that there's a great number of people in the crowd, people sitting up on the rooftops, and this was a form of entertainment. And the fact that it's from July 4th is not insignificant. This was not uncommon for there to be these battles royal um, in times when communities would gather for celebrations of some sort, and so they would, um, kind of make people make fools of themselves, essentially. So that's what a battle royal is, and that's where this story comes from. So now, before you complete this next portion of the lesson, be sure that you've read the story, and then be prepared to, answer some questions. This one is significant in that the white female is really an anomaly in the story. And when you read the story, you may have come across this character and thought, what the heck is going on with this? But I want you to not be distracted by it. I want you to think about what is her significance in the story. For this question, when I say significant symbols, I mean anything that you can identify that might be implying something else, something that is a metaphor, a simile, something that signifies something else, a deeper meaning for that thing. You can think about how in Othello, the handkerchief related or signified their relationship. And when it was lost, it was like the relationship was lost. Think that way about this short story. Now, think about how the story as a whole might be a metaphor for our society today. Even though the story was written decades ago, how might this story be relevant to today? And the last question, what is it about new ways of thought that seem to threaten the established order? Why is it that we are so afraid of new ways of thinking? Or perhaps you disagree with my statement, and you can answer it that way. All right, so thanks for participating. I look forward to reading your responses, and stay tuned for the next lesson, which will be a writing lesson related to Battle Royal and some other things. See you soon. Hope you're all well.